off. Airbus is up first, A320. The 234, I think, it's the IAE engines. We got the United livery going on. We had set this up from, well, we are going into Washington, Reagan National. Yep, the vaunted RNP AR Zulu runway 19. And so going down the river, going down by the band of the river. Airbus is up first this time, which is probably to the advantage of the Boeing 737, the PMDG. Let's go ahead and brief. So we have an arrival, the Freedom 6 arrival, and so we're on our way into Always at 250, 10,000 feet. Next waypoint will be Freedom at 240, 8,000 on a button. And then we're going to VNAV it through Stand Together Fergie, and then ATC. You know, there's a discontinuity because we got a manual, we got a vector, which is kind of a joke because the vector, the next waypoint on the RMP Zulu runway 19 arrival, the initial, basically our initial fix is Derek, and that's just, it's max 180, and it's just a couple miles away from Fergie. So once we round together, we'll probably just go direct to Fergie, or not Fergie, excuse me, Derek, and we'll go from there. But you can see this approach is quite interesting. We got a left arc, we got a right arc, another right arc. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun trying to mimic the river and keep us away from all these prohibited areas. Sensitive areas over here. I like the cemetery, I like the Pentagon, but you know, we got to make a straight into runway 19, which, not straight in, we just have to make an approach into 19. The biggest straight in we have is 0.6, so that's what we get. Our straight in approach will be 0.6 miles. Final approach course is 187. Sunny at 2,000 feet will be our final approach point, which will set in the target pretty soon. It is interesting. You can see this is an RMP 0.3. If you only have 0.3, you could shoot it, but we have 0.11, so we can go down to 491. You can see here 491. So we'll actually have to, it's interesting because I think what's going to happen with the Airbus is going to default to 0.30. We'll have to manually put in 0.11 if we want that decision altitude at 491. So you might say, well, that's not a big deal. Well, it kind of is, because your decision altitude will be on a turn. So we'll see it when we get down. A lot of fun. All right, so that's the brief. A lot of things are going to have to happen between now and then. Let's go ahead, and we had an active pause, so let's go ahead and take it on pause really quick here. Okay, so we're on our way into Always. Let's go ahead and make sure that our landing lights are on, seatbelts are on. So we did that just a little early before we paused it. Let's go ahead and do the profile here. Oh, it's 232 IE. There it is. All right, so we're going to KDCA, runway 19er. We have standard weather conditions, so atmospheric conditions are standard. So 0 winds, 15 degrees centigrade, and we're doing 1992. Excuse me, what happened here? 992. Landing weight, interesting, we're going to be almost max landing weight. 64,500 kilos is max landing weight, so we're going to just be under that. So let's just go 64. And so you can see we're going to fly off the runway. We need auto brake. We need auto brake medium. Okay, so that puts us at 4,800 on a 7,200 foot. So we may be able to stop. We may be able to stop at Foxtrot. I'm not going to mess around. I'm going to get this plane on the runway. So don't look for butter. Don't look for butter. Anything below 300, 350 probably, I will be happy with. I'll be happy with. All right, so let's go ahead and set this to get down to 2,000. I know, I set my bar too low. Exactly. Okay, so we got 2,000. All right, let's go ahead and punch it in for our descent. So we're going to do a managed descent. We're coming up on always right here. And away we go. See, always. We're going to pass it right here.
Hi, Captain. The cabin is now secure for landing.
Thank you. As you're going to see, things are going to happen fairly quickly here. We're descending. We need to be at freedom at 8,000 feet, 240 knots. Yeah. So you see 240 is now pegged in the magenta over here on the speed shape. We're getting down to 8,000 feet. Gives a wind 000 -0 all the way, or /0 all the way around. Dulles down there. Approach checklist barrel rep is 92 all the way around the horn. Seatbelts are indeed on. Minimums are set at 491. Auto brake is now at medium. Engine mode selector is norm. So approach checklist is complete. We need to add a little more drag. The plane's having issues already getting down. Okay, so once we make our left turn in on stand together, you could see there is our decel point at together. And so that will be when it goes down to 208, but we don't have much room from 208 to 180, and we're going to be on the descent. So that's a little too sporty for my taste to wait that long. So I tell you what we're going to do. We could go managed right now, or we could activate the approach phase. So let's do that. Let's activate the approach phase, and then that will bring us down to green dot. But I don't think it's going to do it fast enough, quite frankly. And I want to get down to 180 anyway by the time we get to together. So we shall see. We activated our approach phase and we're moving down. You can see us getting down to green dot. So it is getting down there. V1 is 230 knots, so minus 10 is 220. So we'll be able to put the slats out here pretty soon. Remember, I had the speed brake down. It's the only reason why we're getting down here. All right, so we're going to put the slats out. I'm going to leave the speed brake on for a minute. And now that I hit the slats, it's going to take us to 189, which I feel pretty good about, actually. And then when I go to slats 2, or when I go to flaps 2, which will be before Derek, it's going to drop us down to 145. But I want to keep the speed up probably a little bit. You notice when I activated the approach phase, I got the LDEV and the VDEV. By the way, you hit the prog button, and we're at 0.3. We're at 0.3. When I go direct to Derek, which is what I'll do when we hit the turn, I'll go direct to Derek, because remember, look at the difference from Fergie to Derek. It's maybe a mile or two. All right, so speed brake. Let's go ahead and retract our speed brake. So we're sitting here at 190, or basically 186. 189. Speed retract on a managed speed. There it is, the S speed. You can see we're a little bit faster than we should be. Alright, here's our turn. Alright, I'm going to go a little sooner right now to try to bring us down to 180. And I'm going to pull it. Speed brakes are not out. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pull it in the speed brakes a little bit because I need to get below. I want to put flaps 2 out. Let's go ahead and go direct right now to Derek. Alright, so we got direct to Derek. Let's go back to Prague, and it's still 0.33. So let's go 0.11 because that's what the RNP is. So this will be good. You can see VDEV, LDEV, they got a little more sensitive on us. At least LDEV got sensitive. I'm not sure about VDEV. I'm going to lower us down to 170 at this point, and it's going to be time to put flaps 2. Speed check. We have it. If I didn't do that, we'd be going all the way down to 145 knots, which I think would probably be a little too slow for, yeah, 145. It'd be a little too slow for this ATC. Trying to keep it a little bit more realistic. There it is out there. Things are going well. Speed brake. Let's go ahead and pop in the speed brake, so we don't need it any longer. Okay, right in front of Derek, we're going to hit the approach button because we're about ready to begin the approach. So you can see Des, Alt, Final, App, Final. We're going to put the gear down just past Suni. I'm going to start lowering it to 160 right now. So speed is going down to 160. I'd like to set us in at 187. Just to have it there. I'm not going to remember. Speed brake is still, something's going on with our speed brake. Okay, time for gear down. Let's go ahead and arm our our spoiler. Let's get the lights on. Let's go to let's go flaps 3, speed check, flaps 3. And as we're making our way down to 140, let's go to flap 4. We're already beginning our turns. Flaps full. Alright, there we are, 0.11. Flaps full. VLS is 143. VAP is 138. So there's 138. We're nailed VAP. 133 is VLS, so we're good there. All of our lights are on. Landing checklist. ECAM memo. Landing no blue. Beautiful. Coming up to the bridges. Degree glide scope all the way down. You can kind of see where we're going to be. Speed is already down. There's the Washington Monument. There's the Lincoln Memorial, Jefferson Memorial, Capitol Building, Arlington Cemetery, Pentagon. Just a gorgeous approach. Alright, here we're coming in, just so you guys can see it. Jubal, Wurzo, FIROP. There we are. Right on the money. Staying away from the sensitive areas. There's our There's the mall. There is Washington Monument. But we do have the runway. Looks like we're red. We got white. We're looking good here. I'm going to let it do as much as it can do. And then I'll go, I'll take the autopilot off at the last second because I want to see how good it does. And here we are. Wow. Very nice. Very nice. Let me stabilize. Let me let it stabilize before I go to autopilot off. There it is. All right, autopilot off. I'm taking it off. Remember, I'm not going to screw around. I'm going to get it on the ground.
15, 20, retard, 5.
Alright, we got spoilers, reverse screen, decel. Hey! My rudder pedals are coming off the ground. I gotta do something about that. Alright guys, so nice. Good job, Phoenix. Very good job. So remember, everything from the threshold is the responsibility of the pilot. Everything prior to threshold, good job, Phoenix. Did a really nice job there. I'm going to set the parking brake. All right, guys, we're going to pick this back up with the PMDG in the air. And let's go see what the PMDG can do, shall we? All right, here we are. We are in the PMDG 737-800 series, American livery, with the Sharkies. With the Sharkies. We're in active pause right now. Couple things. So, again, here we go. We're on the Freedom 6. We're inbound to Always. There we are. Inbound to Always, 250, 10,000 feet, going to Freedom. At that point, 240, 8,000, and then we begin our left turn and then back around with the vectoring after Fergie. Once we make the turn after together, though, we'll go directly to Derek. And so here we go. Here's Derek. A couple things we need to be cautious of. So our final approach point will be at 2,000 feet, and then we have our mist will be 491. So let's call it 550 as far as what we'll need to set as we get going down. You'll see what I mean once we set the altitude bug 2 miles before the final approach fix. We're gonna go our final approach point. So basically, right after Derek, we're gonna go ahead and set our altitude bug to 550 feet. It's going to be pretty interesting, but let's go ahead and get rolling. Alright, first things first, let's go ahead and get our landing going. We're just below max landing weight, so this airplane max landing weight is about 66,400 kilos. We're going to be basically 65,700 kilos. Weather, standard weather, standard atmospheric conditions. Alright, there we go. As you can see, the VREF is pretty quick here. Alright, so let's go ahead and go, let's go 30, excuse me, look at this, 30, let's go auto brakes 3, let's recal, let's go full recal, 149, okay, So let's go ahead and put in 149. Flaps 3, let's put that in, and away we go. Let's go ahead and set this to 2,000 feet. Alright, there we go. Let's go ahead and you can see we're making up our pathway already, which is pretty simple. Go ahead and add a little bit of speed brake. A couple things while the speed brake's going down. We need to get off our DME or VOR. I'll set these on both. While we're looking there, we don't need any more drag, so let me go ahead and put the speed brake back. You can see the decel point, which should bring us down to 240, and we'll go from there. Heading, let's go ahead and set our heading to 187. Let's go ahead and prog, nav status, next page. Let's turn off the DME update. We have the GPS, that's good. Let's go prog. Point 3 right now. Let's go ahead and go 0.11 so we don't forget. Up here. There we go. 125 on the vert. Perfect. Alright, so we're 240 now. Again, it's a little too sporty for my taste. I can see the decel coming up here, particularly on that, but I'm going to start a little earlier. Down to 190. Should only take 5 miles to get down to 190, but we are on the descent. Let's go ahead and get the auto brake to 3. You can see how long it's taking to get down. It really doesn't want to go down. Let's help it out with a little bit of speed brake. We'll get to flaps 5 for the turn. We're 235. We can go flaps 1 right now. Let's go flaps 2. Alright, we're getting down there. Let's go ahead and put up our speed brake. Retract the speed brake. Not put up our speed brake. Retract the speed brake. There goes our turn. Sweet. So our turn's going in. Still trying to go down to 190. I'm going to go down to 180 right now. Alright, let's go ahead and go direct to Derek. Alright, we're going direct into Derek. Let's at this point go down to 550 feet. Down to 70, flaps 5. We'll go gear down right after Derek. Alright, we're gonna leave it on VNAV, right? So we got VNAV path, LNAV, LNAV, this is all what we want. Set the bug differently, so we're good. 600 feet, which is fine. Once we get up to around 800, or once we get up about 800 feet, then we'll change it. We'll change it to 3,000. So you can see how tight our ranges are. 125 on the vert. You can see the magenta arrow. Time to go down. Yep. We're holding our speed nice. Let's go ahead and hit the gear down at this point. Gear down. Flaps 15. Let's arm the speed brake. Let's get these lights on. You hear it spooling up because I don't need speed intervent any longer. Let's let it do it itself. So we know VREF is 149, so we're looking for about 154. We got no wind. 154 is all in the hopper here. Alright, let's go. Go right to flaps 30. We're coming down to 154. Beautiful. Look at that. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. Absolutely gorgeous. Right down the river. Let's go ahead and get the recording on. You can see we're right in there. Everything's pegged. Remember, 800 feet, we're going to go ahead and pop it up to 3,000. We got the V path. Get my feet up here. Alright, there's the monument. Lincoln Memorial, Jefferson. Looks like we're off. Looks like we're off, kids. We would have to go around. Interesting. We're back in range, but looks like we would have had to go around there. We'll have to check that out on the tape. Alright, here we go.
500.
We got it. Looking pretty good. I'm gonna resist putting, taking off the
400.
autopilot until we're at the last second.
300.
Looking pretty good. A little overshoot.
200.
All right, I'm taking over.
100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Reverse. Thrusters. Whee! Spoiler should be out. Yep. Go ahead and do manual braking. Let's put up the flaps, give us a little bit of... Alright guys. That concludes that. Very interesting. Very interesting. Alright, so we definitely went off the lateral, we went off the lateral guidance. Probably was cause for, probably would require a mist. Curious what your feedback would be. You can see we went outside the range on the lateral. I kept with it. You can see RNP 0.11, actual RNP 0.06. I went with it though. It recovered nicely as we kind of came in, and let me know if I did anything wrong to cause that to go outside of the lateral deviation, out of the range. Vertical was fine. I thought we came in a little bit left of target, and we had to take it over and bring it back. Autopilot did bring it back though, in all fairness. So definitely took a little longer to get down. That might have been me on the flare. I might have ballooned it a tad, and it took us a little longer to come to a stop. I probably could have stopped here on the runway, the crossing runway, and gotten off there, but in all fairness, we just decided to take it all the way down to the next one, retract the flaps, get the spoilers, reset the spoilers. All right, guys, so that is the conclusion. I would love to know what your comments are of what you're seeing here between the PMDG 737 800 series and the Phoenix. All right, guys. Well, next time, have a good one. We'll go ahead at this point. I'm going to go ahead and show the landings for both. So we got the recordings for both. Guys, have a good one. Here we are on replay. Coming down the river. Jefferson, Washington Memorial, bridges. How cool is that? Pentagon. Yeah. Not sure why the spoilers just retracted. They came out. Got to be on the sky dolly. Excuse the default, but all good.